So in the previous session, I hope you understood how why random state should be defined, because whenever we give random state only, the possible splitting ratio will remain same. Why should I have split? Why should I need to have splitting ratio same? Because when you have splitting ratio same only, then only your model understands that you are giving a consistent data. If you try to change the values in random state also, that also affects. So don't try to do that, because you try to achieve different kinds of results, right? So we have already imported this thing in the above line, you need not go for it. So x train x test, y train y test, because we are giving our input and the output. So you take that thing into consideration and split our data into training part and testing part is equal to train test split of x comma y. Because in the above statement we did not give any a b, because a b we are splitting here, because in this I am trying to split your input training part and testing part. So x comma y, once you have done that, you need to give your test size. How many number of values should be into your test part? I mean, the best ratio is splitting it in the format of 60-40, 70-30, or 80-20. The best thing is you need to go for 70:30 ratio. That is the best splitting ratio. We can go ahead. Once the test size is defined, that is of 30 percentage, then you go for initializing random state. So random state is equal to 1. I mean, I define 1, so I need not want to change the values. Once the training part is done, I mean x train y train, they will be splitting in the ratio of 30 percentage. That is nearly how many values you are having? 768 values. So 768 into 30 percentage, of that 30% values will be into test part. I mean, the remaining 70% values into your training part. So training part of your input and the target also, testing part of your input and target also, because this is a supervised machine learning model where you have the output, you need to make your output match it to the input, right? So this is how you split the data, x train x test. If you want to see the values, you can see x train, you can see 537 rows, because you get 30% right? So x train, and if you go for x test, you can see the different values of 231 rows. See, different values, no consistency. How does that splitting is happening? X train, you can again see the values. It depends on how the splitting is occurring, only depends on the number of that, I mean, values. You can go for training size also parameter here. If it is training size, you give it as 0.7. If it is test size, you give it as 30%, right? So the next step is you initialize your model. Initialize model. So what is our model name? We take it up from sklearn, dot naive. See, naive from sklearn dot naive, because we use the principles of Bayes classifier here, right? So Bayes theorem, I'll import Gaussian naive. G, when you type G, your Colab will give you suggestion. GAUSSIAN, Gaussian, see, naive. So Gaussian naive classifier will only use the continuous values, but that's how naive classifier can be used for text classification mainly, and also for the continuous values. That is the reason you have the bell-shaped curve. I mean, you remember the bell-shaped curve, right? So I can show you simple example with the paint tool, where you generally relate that thing, this bell-shaped curve. The middle one will be the variance, and how does this mean value is changing according to the your intervals. That's where the variance define, whether it is a flat curve or the wide curve. So this bell-shaped curve plays a very key role in distribution of the probability, that is called as Gaussian naive distribution. That is simple example we can relate. So Gaussian naive, generally this Gaussian naive, we take continuous values associated with each feature, where your input values are numeric. That is the reason I'm applying Gaussian naive. So initialize the model, you take up any variable, call up the function Gaussian naive, right? So once it is done, you go for fitting the data. GNB dot fit. For fitting always you need to go for the training part, that is X train and Y train. You train your input data. I mean, not input, generally training part. For fitting, always you need to go for the training part. For getting the prediction, you go for the prediction on the test values. Test values of only input. For finding out metrics, you go for the output test part. So GNB dot fit of X train and Y train. See, once it is done, it will give you the input parameters. So don't worry about the smoothing parameters and the priority. This is the default one. You need not initialize any of the parameters here. Once you fit the data, you can go for prediction. So for prediction, you can define another variable, prediction. So y underscore prediction is equal to GNB dot predict of. Always you remember, whenever you go for prediction, you go for only prediction on the input test data. GNB dot predict of X test. See, this is done. If you want to predict any values, you can directly go over here. Y prediction is equal to GNB dot predict of always your input values in multi-dimension form. See, in double square braces, what you want to give here? Give out any input values. Whether our model is learnt or not, let's check it out. Let me give the first values of all these values. Let me copy these values and let me give. It should give you the outcome. You can write it down, but I will be copying it from the above one, which you can see it. Mention, you must mention commas for separating the values. 6, 148, 72, because 6 is nothing but the number of pregnancies, 148 is nothing but the, I guess, the glucose level, blood pressure and skin thickness. All those values, you need not go for any pre-processing because these are pretty much related. So 6, 148, 72, 35, 0, 33.6 and 0.627, and the final one is 50. Some diabetes pedigree function, and finally, if you want to see the output, you should call the variable for sure. Let us see, based on these input values, whether our model is telling whether the particular person is having diabetes or not. Let me execute it. So you are getting the value as array of 1 because it stores in the format of arrays. That is the reason it gave you 1. That means the particular person is having diabetes. Right? So that's how you can clearly relate it. If you try to change any values, you can understand whether the relating values will be forming to same output. Because this is supervised learning. Whatever the input values you give, the number of pregnancies, the glucose level, blood pressure, skin thickness, all are integers, you define in the same way. The metrics which we have done in the previous step, you can also go for the same principle. You can go for from sklearn.metrics. You take up classification report, accuracy. You can go for all those things. I need not, because once I tell the student, they can, students or any professionals, you can go for doing the same things your own way. You need not depend on whether for every model should I do or should not do. You can go for it. From sklearn, you import metrics. Metrics is nothing but measurements. So for printing accuracy, I define a print statement, print accuracy, I take it from a matrix directly, matrix dot, or you can also go for from sklearn.metrics import accuracy underscore, or directly import metrics from matrix dot accuracy underscore score. For always calculating the accuracy, you need to give 2 inputs. The first one is your prediction, and the next one is you need to use your Y test data, because clearly you can see all of the 4 inputs have been taken. For fitting, you have gone for X train, Y train. For prediction, you have gone for X test, because as I clearly told you, you will be using the same principles. That is the reason I did not write any mathematical formula, because Gaussian Naive Bayes is predominantly, defaultly having those principles. I mean the 1 by whatever the formula you see, what you have the formula, right? 1 by under root 2 pi sigma square into e power x minus mu square by 2 sigma square, that is variance and the standard deviation. You did not write that. That's where sklearn is predominantly used. For matrix calculation, always your prediction and your test values. Now let me print the accuracy. You get the accuracy. It is giving you some error, input variables is inconsistently. So if you are getting in that way, because sometimes this will give you an error. So if at any chance you got in that way, you can go for gnb dot predict of, directly you can give here exit test. It will not issue an error. You can see the result now, 78%. Why did I get an error over there? Because sometimes this collaborator cannot understand. If you are giving prediction values here, it understands that you are giving some inconsistent value. So don't worry about that. You can directly give your model prediction values. If you want to see the output in the format of 100, in the hundreds you can give into 100. So you get the output accuracy in the format of 78%, which is a pretty good one. You did not get exactly 80%, 90%. It depends on what kind of classifier you are using, right? So 78% is a very good accuracy. Whatever you get above 65 and 70, that is pretty much good. In real cases, you cannot expect the output in the format of 90%, 95%, which we get marks, right? So that is not necessary. If it is 70 above, I mean 65 above, it is pretty good, right? So our step has been completed, where we have done how we can get, I mean how we can build a simple machine learning model, right? The next step is building API. Let's go for it. How can you build API? If you remember in the previous session, I have used ngrok tunneling server to build API, right? So we use the same principle, but make sure you install it. You go for pip install. If you are using the same Gmail, it will be already used this collaboratory. But to make everything in a good way, you just install once again pip install flask ngrok. Because as I've clearly shown you in the previous classifier itself, how you can use a simple API. Now ngrok is a tunneling server where you can deploy your simple applications. Pip install flask -ngrok. So it will install the packages. See, if collecting requirement already satisfied, because if you are using the same Gmail, then no need to go for it. But for better purpose, better things, you need to first install it. That is the good way to do, right? Once it is done, let us go for building our simple API, where I'll be relating the data in the format of an array. That is the reason first I imported numpy rate, that is fine. Now import your from flask underscore ngrok. You import run with ngrok. Run underscore with ngrok, because you are trying to build an API and make sure you get a URL. That's where the public URL can be used everywhere. You can pass it to your friends living in some other location or anywhere. You can use the same URL. From flask underscore ngrok, import run with ngrok. Then I need to convert my, collaboratory, whatever the output I got from prediction function, I need to convert that thing into JSON format, right? Because that response will be used for building a mobile app. So from flask, you import flask, comma JSONify to get the JSON data, JSON response. Because JSON response is something like your dictionary, that is key and value, right? So you take that output and you start your application. App is equal to flask of double underscore name, because double underscore is nothing but called as dunder in Python, where you use every Python output is created in the format of a variable double underscore name, where if it is used as a script, the module name will be replaced only in the script if it is used as a module. If it is run as a Python program, the name will be replaced with main. So if name is equal to main will be replaced in the name. double underscore name, you just run this application where you use run underscore with underscore ngrok, run underscore with underscore ngrok of your application, because this is clearly used where you start your ngrok server. Starts ngrok when the app is run, right? So you root the application at the rate app dot root, you define your application, because in the previous video only I have clearly shown you whenever you root the application you define your inputs. So what are your inputs? Your inputs are always here. Your inputs are always here. What are your input parameters? All your input parameters are integers, right? Only some values are float. Wherever you are having float, define those as float values, because here you have given your input only in the format of a function, predict function, and you gave your numeric values, you saw the output. I wanted to see the same output in the URL. That's where you deploy the applications. So define integers. Integer, what is the first column name? Pregnancies, right? So you define a shortcut for it, int p slash, and the next one is your glucose level, so int again g brace, because that's where you define your routing. See, slash everywhere with the help of slash you define the input over there. And the next one is the bp, blood pressure level, again integer colon bp, brace closed, again slash. And what is the next input feature? You have given pregnancies, glucose, blood pressure, and the next one is skin thickness. So skin thickness is also an integer, right? See, till here these are integers. So again square brace, symbol less than symbol, you go for defining it as integer, and skin thickness slash, what is the other input? You define the other input. The other input is, I guess, skin thickness and insulin, I guess, right? Yeah, insulin level, that is also an integer. You define it as integer I. Shortcuts, I'm defining them as shortcuts, then slash. We are having two float values, that is body mass index, BMI is also a float value, and the other one is where you go for diabetes pedigree function. Those are some medical terms, we did not worry about the terms. So diabetes pedigree function and the body mass index, that is in the format of float only in the positive values. BMI square brace closed, and again the other float value is pedigree function, I define that as D, and the last value is age. Age is also an integer, so square brace less than symbol. Why I'm telling brace every time? It's not brace, right? So less than symbol, that's where you define all your inputs. Make sure you give all this in string format. Pedigree, pregnancies, and what are your input? Skin thickness, glucose level, blood pressure, skin thickness, insulin, all these things are integer. Make sure whenever you give input, your less than symbol and your value. So that's what you gave in the format of routing, because this is the entire routing you need to mention. So how does this function apply? You define a function and you define all your inputs. Your inputs are p comma g comma bp comma s comma I comma bmi comma d comma age. Check out 8 inputs you are having: pg, bps, I, bmi, d. Good to go. Once you have defined all of them, you write all of them in the format of an array and make sure you give the prediction function. P is equal to, you define all those inputs in the format of an array: p comma g comma bp comma s comma I comma bmi comma d comma age. All of them are defined in an array. In the format of list, you convert this thing into an array where you can clearly go for prediction, because sklearn principles will always take this input in the format of an array. This is your input and you write your prediction function. Prediction function is equal to, what is the model name? GNP dot predict. Predict of what is your input over here? ARR. Once you define your array, because this is pretty much similar. If you go for the previous example, I need to define string and all the parts, but here all are my input, right? I am trying to tell you another method. If you define this in the format of a list and transform that an array, this array will be taken as input for your naive Bayes classifier. If the prediction, because I'll be dealing only the simple conditional statements, where you'll be surprised if it is in the format of the format of a list. And what do you want to see over there? The result will be in the format of JSON principle. I give result, the particular person is having cancer. Or else, what do you define? Make sure you mind the spaces. Else, obviously, if it will be 0, the result is equal to, you define the result, I just give no cancer, right? If you get output as 0, that means the particular person is not having cancer. So once you define don't execute this because I did not run the application. By typo thing, it has been executed. Once you define the conditions, you just return your result in the format of JSONify. So JSONify of result, so that you can clearly run the application. Because JSON format is the only output where you can see any application result. App.run. Right? So once you execute this, you can see the application running. Once you execute this thing, you get server 404 not found, internal server error, because I have clearly shown you can define a simple another function and return hello world or anything you can see on the screen. When only you give the input, then only you can see the output, whether it is having cancer or not cancer. Right? So let's go for it. Let's execute this. So you're serving Flask, development server, you get this public URL. If you click this URL, definitely you get server error. See? 404 not found, because in this URL we are not giving any values. What are the values we should give? Make sure, let us define all these values, but in the format of slash. Make sure you give slash for each one of the values, then only you can see the output. Replace comma with slash 72 slash 35 slash 0 slash 33.6 slash 0.627 slash 50. Right? So if everything is correct, then we are good to go. You get the result as cancer. Oh my god. See? Array 1, you are representing, because if prediction is equal to 1, what is your result showing? The particular person is having cancer. I can try to maximize it. You can see the particular result is cancer, because you gave the defined values. You can try it out by different values. Once you can see the output fetching here, you can clearly see the data is retrieving in the format of 200 response. That means it is getting the information, because API always builds on 4 principles, correct operations: create, read, update, delete. That's where you can clearly see at particular point of time, I'm giving this information, you're getting the response as the particular person is having cancer. Right? So now we'll be using this public URL as an input for our building a mobile application. Right? So simple. You give your input and define a function, transform that thing into an array with prediction function, and give your conditions. If it is equal to 1 or 0. If it is of multiple labels, you write some if-else conditions. That's it. That is the only difference. Right? So hope you have enjoyed it. Try to execute this. I hope you have enjoyed watching it. If you have liked our content, please do hit like button and do subscribe to our YouTube channel for more useful content and exciting updates. If you want to learn such practical content at an affordable cost with Microsoft certification and instructor support, please register at academy.codenan.com. You can also download app from Play Store as Codenan. Never hesitate to raise queries in the comment section, and please do reply with your suggestions for more practical videos. We'll be happy to come up with it. Thank you.